Welcome to MCC Made, the official podcast of Metropolitan Community College, giving you a backstage pass to all things MCC with your hosts, Emma Frazier and Katherine Riggs. Okay, take it or leave it. Thanksgiving edition.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like food for Thanksgiving, everybody, I think, thinks they're on the same page and then they're not.
Right.
So, because I just assume everyone loves mashed potatoes, but I have multiple friends who do not like mashed potatoes.
Oh, those people would not be my friends anymore.
I have multiple friends.
What do you mean you don't like mashed
It's
potato?
a texture thing.
Okay.
Which, don't get me started on that excuse about why people don't like food.
Okay, well, I am that person, but mashed potatoes.
There are very few foods where it's the texture that bothers me. It's just the straight up flavor for me of like why I don't like a food. But like the only food I will say where I really don't care for the texture or the flavor is olives. Olives are disgusting. Those can be left in the dust forever.
We discussed that.
We have discussed this. I don't want to bring it up again. I'll just get riled up. But
people don't like mashed potatoes?
No.
Okay.
And I'm like, maybe you've had bad mashed potatoes because they're so good.
Yeah. Okay. I will say there are some people who like, I don't know if they blend them or what they do, but then they get like very gluey. And
yes, if you overwork them, then they're gross. Then they're like paste.
Right. Then I understand. But listen, I have not met a potato that I have not liked. So.
It's so true. So if we're doing Thanksgiving, take it or leave it, I will take
any potato.
Any potato thrown at me. Mashed potatoes, absolutely.
Right. Yes.
You know, and make a pool for the gravy.
Obviously.
Because, you know, you just gotta.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it, just turkey in general.
I'm gonna leave it.
I will take turkey. I like turkey. I know there's a lot of people who can really leave it, but I think it's so good.
If I never ate turkey again, I'd be perfectly fine.
That's so sad.
It's fine. I don't know. I'd rather have something else.
I love it at Thanksgiving. I don't miss it the rest of the year, I would say. But then when I do have it, I'm like, oh, it is good.
Yeah, I mean, like if there's turkey at a Thanksgiving, I'm going to eat it.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, it's not like I'm disgusted by turkey, but
no, I love it.
It's like it's fine.
Dark meat.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's probably why you would leave it, because you got to take the dark meat. It's so
well,
good.
I don't know. It's just
that's where it's at. Sorry, I don't make the rules. You need it because it makes gravy. Also,
I mean, you can make gravy out of other things.
You can, but like on Thanksgiving, and then you use the fat and you make the gravy.
I mean, and we're obviously taking gravy.
Yeah. My plate is extremely doused with gravy. I put gravy on my mashed potatoes. I put gravy on my turkey. I put gravy on my stuffing. Stuffing take.
I don't like
take
stuffing.
Take.
I'm gonna leave it.
It's the
leave
biggest
it in the
portion.
Dust.
Biggest portion.
The biggest
of my plate.
portion
By a mile.
No.
I love stuffing.
No.
Give me all the stuffing.
No.
So good.
Do you do homemade stuffing? Do you do stovetop stuffing? Do you what are your stuffing takes?
Dad will make the stuffing. And although my dad is an amazing cook, that he does not make it from scratch, I should say. But he also doesn't use he uses a nicer package of stuffing, I would say. It's like
a fancy stovetop.
I'm not
the Whole Foods stovetop.
I'm not naming any brands because they are not sponsoring us, unless they do want to send us bags of stuffing.
Yeah, I would happily do a taste test if the people sent us stuffings.
That's a dream. That is the dream. And he puts sausage in his stuffing.
Okay.
So it kind of, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I don't love stuffing.
Love it.
Again, I don't like soggy bread. It doesn't do anything for me. My mother-in-law does dressing, not stuffing.
Which I know there's a difference. Couldn't tell you what it is.
Yeah, it's I don't know either. I mean, I if I saw the two next to each other, I could tell you which is which.
Is it that the one is in the turkey?
Maybe.
Like where you actually stuff it in the turkey?
The dressing you don't put in the turkey.
Okay, you don't. Well, my dad doesn't put the stuffing in the turkey.
Does anyone still put stuff in
I swear one of my friends' dads might still do that.
Mm.
I'll have to ask her.
I mean, to each their own. I'm not eating it, so what do I care?
Yeah. That's more for me. So
right, that has always been.
You're doing it for the good of the others. Is
Exactly.
What
I'm being very selfless.
Wow, God,
a real martyr over here.
Really, it's so kind of you to be
Thank
that
you.
way. Yeah.
I'm glad you're finally acknowledged that.
Oh my God. Let's see, creamed corn.
We didn't really have creamed corn.
Oh
creamed
God,
corn
we
is
were a
fine.
creamed corn take.
Yeah,
I love creamed corn.
What's
that to like?
We ate a lot of corn.
Yeah,
not creamed corn.
Same, and then I would say maybe 10 years ago we made the switch to creamed corn.
My brother-in-law makes like a hybrid creamed corn macaroni and cheese.
Interesting,
and that slaps.
That sounds good. We never have mac and cheese at our Thanksgiving.
My family does not. Brandon's family does. His mom has like a famous mac and cheese recipe. It's more like casserole mac and cheese.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I also have not met a macaroni and cheese I don't like. So
that's true. It's hard to. I mean, although there are ways to. If it's too dry, then you're just like, okay, what are we doing here?
Right, but for the then you put some gravy on it, and then you're
honestly, yep, that would solve all my problems.
and then
gravy will solve pretty much any crises I'm having.
That has been a Stokely family motto for a very long time. If you put gravy on anything, it's fixed.
It's a Band-Aid.
Correct.
Cranberry sauce.
I'm gonna leave it.
I will leave it if it's canned and like the jelly, like rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I will take it if it's homemade. Homemade cranberry sauce is so much better. It's insane that people don't all just make it because it's also not hard.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, everybody just wants the can. Everybody just wants like Jell-O with their with the can indents in it.
I don't want cranberry sauce.
I'm like, I don't like that.
If I was at a restaurant and they served me something with like a cranberry sauce on it, I'm sure I would love it.
Oh, eat it.
Great. It's never anything that I'm like, oh yeah, let me put this sweet sauce on my turkey.
Oh, it's so good.
But then I'm sure it's great. It's just like, I don't know. It's like this is my motto with a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, I'm not missing it, so who cares?
Oh, I'm like, for our Thanksgiving, we have family friends that come over, and my mom buys the cranberry sauce basically just for one of them and puts it in front of his seat.
Mm-hmm.
And really no one else touches it.
That's the can.
Yes. And I don't even think it's passed around, like, even as a formality. I think we just know, like, this is for him.
Oh, my God.
Leave it there.
Like, how much? Is he eating, like, the whole can?
No. But more than one slice.
Okay. My mom will make, like, the closest like we get to cranberry sauce, which it is not cranberry sauce, is like my mom makes like we call it cranberry ice, and it's like it's sorbet-esque.
Okay.
It's like, again, homemade. It's like in a Tupperware container, and then she scoops it out. She makes it and then she freezes it. It's very icy.
When do you eat it?
It's like a palate cleanser almost.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you might just be eating your Thanksgiving dinner, and then you might be like, it's time for my little
sweet treat.
My little cranberry ice. That might be weirder than just having cranberry sauce out.
That's fair.
It's just being, like, so highbrow that you guys have a palate cleanser at at your white linen tablecloth Thanksgiving. Excuse us.
I mean, please remember this when you speak to me.
Please address me as so.
Yeah, and please address me knowing that we have a palate cleanser at our Thanksgiving.
No one will look at you the same.
True.
Sweet potatoes are like the
no. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I've grown to like sweet potatoes more as an adult, but like the ones with the marshmallows and like, no, I will skip that.
Agreed. I will eat sweet potatoes if I need to. Like, it's fine. Again, nothing ever I'm ever choosing. I feel like whenever I have sweet potatoes, I end up just like dousing it in butter and salt and pepper to like mask that it's sweet
potatoes. Yeah.
And then I'm like, I've made whatever is quote unquote healthy
alternative. Yeah. I'm like, and that's all lost.
It's like, it's like whatever health benefit I was convincing myself I had by eating
all
this sweet potato
it's all undone.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Yeah, I can skip those.
Green bean casserole? I'll take green bean casserole.
Like with the canned or like the canned green beans or fresh green beans. I will take either one as long as they've got the crunchy top. The crunchies. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And it's like molten lava when it comes to, at least ours is. Yes. It's like it is so hot. You can't even like pass the dish it's in around because it might kill you.
Yeah. Okay, I know you have a hot take on this, but pumpkin pie.
No. Skip all pumpkin.
All pumpkin?
All pumpkin. I don't like really anything pumpkin. Just leave it. It's like the nutmeg, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think I like cinnamon more than I do, I guess.
Oh.
Because then when I'm having like something cinnamony, I'm like, I don't love this actually. The only thing I maybe like is like cinnamon toast or cinnamon toast crunch.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll eat pumpkin pie. I'm pro pumpkin pie. My mom does like a pumpkin roll, which is like almost like a Swiss roll, but like pumpkin instead of chocolate. But she also would do a chocolate one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me a long time to like pumpkin pie, and for a long time I just like doused it in Cool Whip.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, now I love it. Turns out now I love it.
And then like of course as you get older, then you're like, okay, well I can't just be eating half a tin tin. Who am I?
A container.
A container of Cool.
Sure, Cool Whip comes in a tin. It's served right after the cranberry pie.
Yeah. Oh, your Cool Whip doesn't come in a tin?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, well, now I know where we stand.
A little top shelf over there.
But yeah, no, I like pumpkin pie. I would way rather have like apple pie.
Yeah, we used to do both and then realized like people don't. My sister would put so much work into an apple pie and then like
nobody eats it?
Yeah, what? Even though they're good, but it's just like there would be so many other things. Our family does pudding cups at Thanksgiving, which sounds fancy, but it's you get the stovetop Jell-O, not the instant Jell-O pudding. You have to get the stovetop one. You have to put a little bit of effort into it.
Right. It is a holiday after all.
It is a holiday, and it is just better. You just gotta do it. And then you get the individual graham cracker crust cups, not a big one. Like you're not making a big one and then like slicing it. You do the cups. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, those have become the it dessert item at our Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes. My mom always does a pumpkin roll with like a caramel sauce, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd do that.
I have now started making, my mom doesn't really make pies. I don't really make pies. So now I do a cheesecake.
Oh, I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
So I love cheesecake.
Yeah. I love cheesecake. I have to make 2 cheesecakes this year.
Do you make a flavored cheesecake or just straight?
I just make a straight up cheesecake.
I love that.
I mean, why mess with perfection?
Really? Yeah. Keep it simple. Stupid.
Did you have to go to a bunch of Thanksgivings, or did you guys just do like
because
one?
None of my family lives here.
Yeah, we always just
like my extended family. We used to go to my dad's family Thanksgiving like every year in Michigan for years. And then that sort of became less of a giant event out there. So then we just started staying here. And then we have family friends that also aren't from here who don't have family here.
Oh,
so
nice.
then we combine. They come to our house for Thanksgiving and then we go to their house for Easter.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, we did not travel for holidays.
That was the only one we used to travel for, and now we don't do it. Well, that's not true. We used to go down to Florida for Easter when my grandparents, they were snowbirds and would go down there. So we used to go down there. And then that stopped when they got like too old to travel down there.
Yeah. Like with my dad's job, like he could never like travel on the holidays.
Yeah.
So like we never went anywhere.
Oh yeah. I miss that. I miss those times.
Yeah. I mean, even still, like, I mean, I guess, yeah, big air quotes, we travel an hour to my parents' house. But it's like very low key.
Very, very. It's low key, but there is a palate cleanser.
There is a palate cleanser. Oh, well, let's cleanse our palate.
Yeah,
And get into our conversation of the day. Today we have Marcia Prideaux and Annalise Anderson from the Autism Action Partnership. They have partnered with MCC for a Prosper Academy. The first cohort graduated this May. Welcome, Marcia and Annalise.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah. So I guess to start, would you explain, what Autism Action Partnership does, and then what is that partnership with the Prosper Academy with Metropolitan Community College? Yeah.
I'll take the first part. How about that?
Sounds good.
So Autism Action Partnership started as the Sunshine Foundation by Gail Werner Robertson and Scott Robertson, who had 2 children who were on the autism spectrum. While they had resources to seek out the services that their sons needed, they realized that those were not available in the area. And so they started this foundation to kind of create those opportunities for people locally who were affected by autism. So from that came Autism Action Partnership, and the programs that we provide, we really serve the purpose of filling gaps. So there are educational services that are provided. There are health and behavior services that are provided to people, So we fill in the gap is essentially kind of the role that we fill. We have private donations and grants, and so we have the flexibility to sort of design the things that people feel are lacking, the autism community feels is lacking. So that's really the role that we play, and it is through partnerships with a lot of other organizations. And Prosper Workforce Services was the first direct service program that we had. So that is a program for adults who experience issues in gaining and retaining employment. That's been around since 2015.
Yes.
And other programs have kind of developed along the way. And so I'll let you talk about what Prosper Academy is.
Yeah. So Prosper Academy was first kind of brought roll that back. No, but Prosper Academy first kind of became an idea in early 2020 when we had members of our leadership team go and visit a similar program in Phoenix, Arizona called First Place Arizona, which is done in partnership with the South Arizona Autism Research Center, or SARC. And they wanted to take that same concept, which is this kind of full wraparound service of classes and a living experience, and bring that to the Midwest. And then 2020,
Right. Nothing happened.
Yeah,
very boring year.
Very boring
Business as
year.
usual.
Yeah. So that was delayed. And then we ended up launching in August of 2022 with our pilot concept, which was 6 individuals who would be living in a college dormitory setting and receiving about 8 hours a week of classroom instruction, following a licensed curriculum, and outside of that, receiving additional kind of life scale executive functioning support from a team of behavior therapists. And it was a blast. It was super weird. And learned so much.
But life-changing for the people who participated in it.
Yeah. We had an 83% graduation rate. So of our initial cohort, 83% of them completed it. And of those who completed it, 80% of them are currently living in their own homes.
That's incredible.
Independently.
Aww.
Yeah. So it's like we proved the concept, which is awesome. However, we learned very quickly, like when we launched into Prosper Academy, it really was launching into Prosper Academy, and it was like, okay, we're going to do this. And it resulted in a program that was really effective, but really inaccessible in terms of cost. And so once we finalized our pilot cohort, the organization kind of realized that we needed to take a step back, reevaluate, and find a way that we can get these skill classes or develop this program and modify it in a way that's more accessible to people across really any type of economic status. And so that's kind of where we're at now.
We needed to expand the reach. I mean, we did a really great thing, but it was available to only a few people. And we realized, like, that's not really what we do. What we do is try to fill the gaps. And there are so many people that need and want this services. There is kind of the cliff that happens when adults with autism become adults. When they come of age, there's services that are available up through the point that they graduate high school and they're out on their own. And then it's like, good luck.
And that's like, you're out on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pretty much after the age of 21, there's like almost nothing.
Right.
In terms of like support. You can pay like out of pocket, private pay for life coaches and things like that. But in terms of like something that's reimbursable through insurance or the DD waiver, it's just not there for people right now here in Nebraska.
Yeah. Or it's very limited, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the Prosper Academy, both this first cohort that just wrapped up in May, which was wildly successful.
Wildly.
And then this new cohort that will be coming in. I guess, is there age limits? Like, do you have like bounding boxes of like who can participate? Like, what does that look like?
So for our initial cohort, there was an age limit of 18 to 30. That was mostly due to our housing partner. I guess I also haven't explained what MCC's relationship is with AP. So I'll do that really quick. So MCC is our academic partner. And so it was really critical to incorporate a higher ed partner because I don't know how Canvas works, and I need honestly same.
Right.
And so like MCC just had so many resources and tools that they were willing to share with us. And then the other part of why it's so important is, like Marcia was talking about that cliff. You also, anyone who I think does college admissions or knows a neurodivergent adult knows that, like, for a lot of people, when you leave K through 12 education where you maybe had an IEP or were receiving pretty substantial support or any support at all, or just had access to navigate tools and resources, or someone was there kind of looking out for you, you leave K through 12 education and then you're put into higher ed, and you don't necessarily have, like, you don't have those services as at the same capacity.
Yeah.
And
it can be confusing for people who aren't neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. And when people people with autism, in my experience, when they come up against that barrier, that difficulty, tend to just kind of throw up their hands and not try. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's like, it's just like there's so much that goes into the college experience that is not necessarily explicitly taught. Like let's like a tour of the building of these specific people are where you go to with these specific issues, or like this is how you manage your time, and this is how you log into your accounts, and this is how you send a professional email, and like So by partnering with MCC, it gave us this 2-year timeline for all of our students, who some of them had completed higher education degrees and some of them had attempted and were not able to complete that degree. But it gave us this really even playing field where they were able to quote unquote fail, but in a safe way.
Right.
Like it's like we were there to really like teach every single person as they needed to be taught on how to use the tools that they need to be successful in a college setting.
Yeah, and the idea, it's a 2-year cohort with a specified curriculum, and the idea is to give them a post-secondary experience too.
Right.
So they were in a kind of a dorm room setting, and they were traveling to MCC for classes, and that was part of that version of Prosper Academy.
Yeah.
So now we have an opportunity to sort of rethink it, redesign it, and that's what we're in the process of doing.
Right. Yeah. So the piece of like living in a dorm style scenario, that's no longer part of that, just because that's expensive and you want it to be more accessible. But the classes, the college experience on MCC's campuses will remain the same. And then I believe you told me also that those life skill kind of opportunities will also still be available to these students.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just like,
Well, that's what we're focusing on right now is just sort of, it's a great opportunity that we have right now because we can go to the community that we already have connections with and say, we're rethinking this. What do you need? What are the things that you need? And when I say community, I'm talking about the people that engage in our programs, but also the agencies and the other people who we're partnered with or connected with. Like, what do your clients need that isn't currently available? Because right now we have the opportunity to make that thing. But we're also kind of faced with getting the word out and making people aware that this is what we're doing and we're redesigning. So we're creating sort of, I guess what I'm going to call like trailers or sort of kind of mini experiences of what's to come, just to kind of make people aware of what we're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
That
is true. So I guess like an example of that, I guess we could talk a little bit about the Learn for Independence curriculum.
Yeah.
So L4I comes out of First Place, Arizona, developed by SARC. It is, I should know this, 12 to 14 topics, somewhere in there. Just kind of covering everything from transportation to work skills to self-identity to just like, nutrition.
relationships,
financial stuff, and breaks these kind of adult life skills down into really manageable, digestible chunks. And then when we administer the curriculum, adapt it for the folks who are receiving it in our class. But the way that we are, so like Marcia was saying, like we're a big hurdle that we're up against now and that we were up against in 2022 is getting the word out and letting people know what we are doing, because as this is almost like a second pilot of kind of a new approach to the same goal.
Yeah.
2.0.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Yes.
determining sort of what does it look like? What do you need? When do we do it? Where do we do it?
Yeah.
To make it as accessible as possible for the most people.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of what we're trying to do now, as well as giving them a taste of sort of like, this is what L4I is. Because, who wants to sign up for a 12-week course or a 6-week course without really knowing, what to expect? It's new to them. So
Yeah. And maybe this is part of the things that have changed. I don't know. So Metropolitan Community College, our magazine, community magazine, we did a feature
Yep.
on this partnership on Prosper Academy in 2022 when this first started with that first cohort. And one of the Brian, our copywriter, did an incredible job, I think, telling that story. And one of the things he did was he went with the group to Aldi to go grocery shopping. And he was like, it was just so incredible to like watch everyone kind of figure these things out. He's like, you know, as somebody who doesn't struggle in that same way, he's like, I didn't have to think about learning how to grocery shop. He's like, but
on my own.
Yeah. He's like, I was able to pick that up from going with my mom to the grocery store and then just living on my own. And I wasn't a skill that I was consciously learning.
Right.
But being able to see how those skills, it's like, oh, not everyone just has those skills. And those are things that sometimes do need to be learned. And I think that is, I mean, apart from, of course, the academic side that MCC is a part of is also very important. But I think that everyday stuff kind of just gets lost in the mix of like, oh yeah, I do have to wash my clothes and my sheets once a week.
Regularly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about, you know, people with autism, their brains are wired differently. They learn differently. Sometimes they think very literally. So when they're in the moment, kind of, you know, you mentioned we oftentimes just learn by experience, by going with our parents and doing things and observing what they're doing. And I think in the mind of an autistic person, the experience can be very different. I mean, they may not be in the moment sort of observing and learning, and they have something else going on. So they need to have the explicit instruction that really isn't available to them. They're not learning through their experiences how to live life the way that neurotypical people might. So that's the reason for the curriculum and, you know, why people with autism sometimes struggle with those things is there hasn't been instruction available to them. So that's what we hope to bring to a greater number of people.
Yeah. And I think also it's having the words to ask for what you need is something that I think a lot of young adults and adults with autism don't always like have the words to be like, hey, I can't do this thing because of XYZ. And for neurotypical people, it reads in a negative context. And so like it's a lot of the work is just bridging this gap, like communication gap, kind of in a more global sense.
Yeah.
So there are those life skill pieces that are underrated in my opinion. But then there's also, yes, the MCC portion of that. So is there a set curriculum that MCC has for these students, or do they kind of get to pick their own adventure? Like how does that work?
Yes. You should. No. I'm going to be quiet.
No, it's fine. This is good. You're the color and I'm the, so excellent question, I guess. So the intention is that we do at some point get back to delivering the curriculum at MCC in a classroom. What that looks like is probably going to be a little different. I mean, I guess we're completely open right now to what that might look like. And we've been in communication. I think we at first talked about like next fall sort of launching something. I don't know if that's going to happen. It might be 2026 sometime. But we will partner with MCC to deliver the L4I curriculum, but it might look different. It might not be, you know, a quarter by quarter thing. Before it was start to finish. There's 2-year curriculum. Right. You go through the whole thing and then you're graduated. We have been talking with our community and they tell us like, that's like graduating the thing is not really that important to me. I'd rather just be able to like take the classes and gain the skills that I need. So again, we're just kind of right now talking with our community about like, what does it look like? What do you need? How can we design it in a way that you'll take advantage of? So the partnership with MCC, we definitely intend on continuing that. We continue to have discussions with our contacts and have made some plans, but what it looks like right now, we just can't. We don't really know. And again, I think it's a good opportunity because we're going to the community and saying, what do you want? What do you need? And how can we deliver it to you in the best way?
Yeah. I mean, I think like if I could wave my magic wand and what I would have is like, I would love for the Learn for Independence curriculum to be like a official non-credit courses within MCC. Like that would be amazing. So that way it's kind of like a natural kind of next step for folks who are wanting to pursue like an associate's degree, but maybe need a little bit more time to kind of grease the wheels, as it were.
Build skills.
Yeah. It is such an exciting and also exhausting and scary.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, you guys can, look back. I mean, you had a very successful first cohort.
Right.
Now, of course, the circumstances of that changed, not because it didn't work, but just because of the feasibility of making sure that it's accessible to everyone.
Right.
So I think, taking a step back and being like, how can we replicate this experience, but on a broader scale is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So like that first cohort, because that's what we have. Did they all, was it like a general studies? Like what kind of classes were they taking?
So they were taking those Learn for Independence courses, and it was taught so we aligned it with the MCC quarter. So it was 4 classes every quarter of some type of like, some type of like interconnectedness through it. And then we also built a secondary curriculum that we refer to as like workshops and seminars to kind of take the Learn for Independence curriculum and really double down on the experience of it. So like an example is that like when we were going through our work program, we actually had Barbara Thomas taught a shortened version of the Bring Your A Game vocational career readiness program to our pilot cohort. And we've also done partnerships with like the UNL Extension Office. They came in and taught a workshop on like creating healthy meals. So the Learn for Independence curriculum that we taught at MCC guided kind of all these supplemental access or activities that we did on top of
like skill support, opportunities to practice the skills that they're learning in the classroom, which I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like there was probably as much value in that as there was in the classroom. And so, that's kind of like the thing that we're focusing on right now is those skills practice, short sort of one-time experiences to like introduce them to the concept of here's the skills that you can learn. For example, this weekend we're doing a city scavenger hunt where we are going to teach individuals how to navigate the Omaha bus system and do ride sharing. But there is a course on transportation. So that's an example of kind of some of the things that we're trying to design right now to just kind of give a glimpse into what is available so that we can sort of like build trust and let people know that they're going to get a quality experience and be interested in the next thing.
Yeah. And it's also like you don't know what you don't know. And so we want to kind of give people the opportunity to be like, oh, this is maybe something that could be beneficial for my life if I knew how
to navigate the bus system.
Yes.
Absolutely. I don't know how to navigate the bus system, so maybe I should attend that.
Right.
Well, we're meeting at 9. It's going to be fun.
But so many people with autism don't drive. It's an executive functioning issue, and they're not confident that they can make the quick decisions necessary. So they are limited in where they can go and what sort of jobs they can have, because is it on the bus system? And what happens if you have to be somewhere and somebody can't give you a ride? So, I think they're so, people are complacent, right? And so I think like everyone else, they're like, hey, I've got, my mom and dad got it covered. They can take me wherever I need to go. So they don't really see the need.
Built-in chauffeur, why not?
Absolutely. And that, sort of like giving them the experience that like this does give you some independence. You can do more things on your own and feel more confident that you can get somewhere if you have to.
Yeah. I think we started to talk a little bit about it, but what are the, for Autism Action Partnership in general, your programming, but then specifically this Prosper Academy, like what are the qualifications? Like who can use these services? Like is there, I know the first cohort, because of the, where they were living, there was that age limit, but is there an age limit now? Like what does that look like? Is there, I mean, autism is a spectrum as everyone talks about. So like,
For sure.
do you have to like check so many boxes to get these kind of services? Like, what does that look like?
So there is kind of in order to access the services that we provide at EAP, there is kind of a baseline skill level. So for folks who are wanting to pursue some of the supports that we offer, generally we ask that most people are able to complete their like ADLs, activities of daily living, independently, because we don't provide any type of medical support or services. And then that's pretty much it. We work with folks at varying degrees of kind of verbal ability. We work with folks of, as long as you're over the age of 18, and even if you're like under the age of 18, we'll just go chat.
You're close enough.
Yeah, it's like,
Come on in.
get in there.
Yeah.
But there is kind of a base limit of skill
Support needs.
Yeah.
So, the ability to be able to participate in the activity or the classroom without needing to have one-on-one support is really what it comes down to. But it doesn't, I think that we're open to other developmental disabilities. We don't necessarily require proof that they have autism. And, in fact, we're exploring the idea of going out to provide some of the classrooms or workshops, I guess, to agencies that aren't specific to autism. So, because, the life skills, the need for life skills exists in people, other than those that have autism as well.
Yeah.
Of course. So, we're looking into that. And, this
is kind of unrelated, but just like a realization. So my background is, I was a behavioral health therapist working with little itty bitties, like early intervention, before I transitioned over to Autism Action Partnership, helped kind of launch our social skills adolescent programming, and then transitioned into Prosper Academy. But like adults with autism are,
super interesting.
Just the best. That we have, like, it is such a blast. But also, like, it makes you think so much about your own biases and how you interpret and interact with disability and any assumption that you have. So, like, I think people often think about ability as this thing that exists on this linear scale, and it's absolutely not. It's this like amorphous blob. And so like we have a lot of participants who, I can't think of a clinical word for this, but it's like they're unclockable. Like, like you would be like, oh, this person does not have a disability, and they are highly impacted by their autism. They are not able to engage or develop relationships. They aren't able to do these certain things. And then on the other side, you have people who maybe have a lot of sensory seeking behaviors. Like maybe you have people who are like, they're like, they do a lot of body rocking or a lot of fidgeting, or they have like a difference in their intonation, and you can tell a visual assessment, like, okay, this person might be kind of might be struggling with something, and they have such a higher and broader array of skills. Like autism looks so different in every single person. Yeah. Which is partly why it's so hard to create a blanket program.
Exactly.
For them.
Yeah. We had a participant recently who said it's not He said, I describe it as a constellation, not a spectrum, because it's a spectrum. A spectrum makes it seem like you're either on this end or that end, but a constellation is like, I'm highly skilled in these areas here and there, but I need support in these other areas that are just kind of like, not random, but like it's not on a scale.
No.
Not a clean cut.
Exactly.
Like, it's not just because someone is at this certain place on a spectrum
right.
that they check all of those boxes, because all those boxes might not apply.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time to everybody who is on that place on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's that was a really good visual for me, because I think that helps other people understand. Like, we work with so many people who are just absolutely brilliant and have really incredible skills in certain areas, and in the areas that other people take for granted, a lot of times they struggle. So yeah, that's where we hope to fill the gap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, pretty much in every situation, I feel like it's 90% environmental changes that need to happen versus like any type of skill that the individual needs to develop. And so it's like, we need to build in those skills and then also continue to advocate for changes in the environment and get people connected to the resources that they need.
Yeah, a lot of it in the workforce program, a lot of what we do is help employers understand what autism really is. And once they know that, then when they see an unusual behavior, they're way more accepting of it, less judgmental, because, that's related to autism, instead of, if you don't have anything to attribute it to, like humans kind of, will jump to a conclusion, and oftentimes it's not a positive one. So especially when it's unusual behavior, something that's unfamiliar to them. But yeah, so that's kind of what you're saying is in a more, in a broader level, that's what our mission is, to educate the community about autism, so that in general people be more understanding when they see unusual behavior, like maybe the person's neurodivergent, maybe they have autism.
Yeah.
And then you can sort of help them know what to do in those situations, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how to word that.
I mean, I think that people who maybe aren't as exposed to people who are neurodivergent sometimes get, I don't want to say defensive, but I think that they just all of a sudden, like, it's something that's unknown, a behavior they don't understand, and they're like, something is wrong, and it's not me, so it has to be you, and I don't even know how to deal with you, so I'm just going to like either avoid you, or like
you, or get real nervous around you,
or like almost hostile. It's just like, okay, it doesn't have to be hostile.
Yeah,
like everyone's fine here.
No,
I think don't lose your patience.
Yeah, I think in pursuit of being polite, people are often really unkind, and like. Politeness is a social construct and is not something that people are just inherently born with, like, knowing. And so like a lot of working with folks in this transition age is having those hard conversations, and like laying flat out and being like, hey, just so you know that when you engage in this behavior, it presents as this way to most people. And most of the time they're like, what?
Really?
What are you saying to me right now? And I'm like, I'm so sorry that I have to tell you this. But yeah, and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm like,
oh my God.
That's what we're here for.
Right.
Oh my God. This is like not a total comparison, but my husband does this. He's not autistic that I'm aware of. Maybe he is. Who knows? I'm not here to judge. Anyway, he does this thing where he will like itch his ears, but you can like pop. You know, like how people like can put their finger in their mouth and like make that popping sound. He does that with his ears.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just something I've known about him. Whatever. It was maybe 3 months ago. He goes, "Can you hear that?" I go,
"Yeah,
yes."
Yeah. Every time.
He goes, I thought that I was the only one who heard that sound. I go, oh no. He's 38 years old. He's like, how did I not know that everybody else could hear that? I was like,
yeah, matter of perception. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, what do you mean you didn't think other people could hear that?
Right. It's popping.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example.
That's a great example.
So it's self-awareness. Yeah, there's a lot of lacking of self-awareness in people who have autism, because they're like, from their perspective, this is my personality. This is who I am.
Yeah. And I think we just try to present it without shame. Like, it's just like, this is the information that you, so like a big thing that we work with people on is like, especially in PWS, but we also did a lot of this in Prosper Academy, is like hygiene and kind of just like sort of like your like grooming and things like that.
People with sensory issues sometimes don't like showers and brushing teeth and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like, we want to, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your choice whether or not you want to engage in these behaviors that might make your perception a little bit more favorable to the people around you. But like, at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, we want everyone to have full access to the information they need to be most informed to make the choices in their daily life.
Right. So here's what's going to happen if you smell.
Yeah.
People won't tell you, they'll just avoid you.
Exactly.
Like, so is that what you want? Like,
Exactly. And some of them are like, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You're
Some
right.
of them are like, perfect. And it's like, okay, let's find you a job where you can
Right.
So,
Yes.
Maybe outside.
Right. But if you want to have relationships and especially a romantic relationship, if that's important to you, then you need to know, like, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, those are the conversations that we get to have.
I believe it. I think the internet is a wonderful place and also a horrible place. But I think that you get to interact with so many different people and like learn so many things. Again, not like apples to apples comparison, but when we were talking about interacting with people who are maybe neurodivergent, out when you're just like living your life, I always think about like when I'm driving and I'm like trying to get somewhere and there's somebody going very slow in front of me and I want to rage,
Yeah.
because I'm in a hurry. And these people are
Sunday
making
driving.
it harder for me. And it's like, oh, this is not about me. They're not driving to make me late. And then I have to then talk myself down and be like, this could be my grandma who's just trying to be cautious. And would I want somebody yelling at my grandma? No. So then I have to
Nice.
like bring myself back.
Yeah.
But I think that in America specifically, we're pretty individualistic. So it's like everything seems like an attack on you. Like if somebody's taking too long in the checkout line, it's like, you're doing this to me.
How could
Absolutely.
you? How dare you do this to me today?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about the parent who has a kid with behavior issues and something happens in the store and they melt down. Like, what are the thoughts of all the people around them?
Yeah.
Like, they're judging your parenting. They're judging, how you're handling that situation. And without understanding that, like, this is something this mother is very familiar with. She knows how to handle the situation, and it's like a waited out kind of thing a lot of times. So that's not a bad analogy.
The discussion around autism kind of in the public eye, there's just a lot of discourse over what autism is,
Right.
how you treat autism, do you even need to treat autism, whose fault is autism? Like it's it's a discussion that I think derails the attention away from the individuals who need support.
Right.
So
I mean, that's what it is. It's just like, let's just give people who need to learn things and need support, let's just find a way to deliver that to them.
Yeah. And to
Regardless
have
of
it
what
be-
the cause is.
yes, and have it be informed by the individuals with autism
Yes.
themselves, because we, like a neurodivergent brain trying to create programming for a neurotypical brain trying to create programming for a neurodivergent brain means that there's going to be gaps. And so we actually, next Monday, we have our first ambassador meeting with a group of our program participants to kind of, like, we want to make sure that that's woven into the future of Prosper Academy from the start.
Yeah. So here's here's what we're thinking. What do you have to say about that? What do you need? Like, what could we do better?
what's
sort of
missing.
thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
So back to the Prosper Academy. So like right now it's kind of in a hiatus while we reconfigure.
Yeah. Well, it's in an experimental phase. We're trying things out. We're actually doing stuff. We're offering things, but it's more like snapshots, kind of one-off opportunities to get a glimpse of what it could be. So the transportation workshop was one example. We have another one-off around budgeting or personal finance where it's kind of going to be gamified, where you come in and we kind of do this life game where you have to kind of manage your finances to win, with the idea that we offer a budgeting curriculum. But yeah,
Maybe I should take that.
I was just thinking, I'm like,
lots of people,
couldn't hurt me to take that probably.
yeah.
It'll be fun.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I guess what I was getting at was what can people in the community or anybody do to help create an environment that this Prosper Academy can still flourish and maintain and bring these important skills to these people.
Yeah. Come to our events, please.
I mean, I think anyone with a neurodiversity should kind of look into the things that we're offering. Our website will have the information. I think agencies and potential partners should get in touch with us. People who have opinions about what skills are lacking in their participants, in their programs, in their clients that they see, should contact us and let's have a conversation about what we can do, because we are in the process of building it. We have the ability to build the thing that your clients or your participants need and can benefit from. So just some conversation right now.
Yep. We also didn't talk anything about Prosper Community, which I will do quickly now because that's a great place to, like, for service providers or like what is the formal title of like the disability advocates at MCC?
Disability support services.
Yeah, so like DSS at MCC. Lots of acronyms.
All day long.
Right.
So from Prosper Academy, we had started doing some things that we called young adult events. We started with going to Spielbound once a month and going bowling once a month, and then that grew into Prosper Community, which is really developed out of the need to kind of combat feelings of isolation in young adults and adults with autism. It is an exclusive group, so it is for neurodivergent adults only, and we do multiple monthly activities kind of all around the city, and it's a great way to kind of get to know other people in the program, and also just to kind of like get connected with AAP on an individual level, so you can know what we're doing. Join our newsletter.
I was going to ask, how do people find out what they're doing?
Yeah. So we send out a monthly newsletter, and then we post about all of our events on our social media.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Prosper Community is interesting because it kind of developed naturally. People, you talked about combating the feeling of isolation, but that's like the number one thing that people with autism and their supportive adults said that they wanted more than anything else, is like to learn relationship skills and have social connections, because they lack that. But yet they're so intimidated by like the typical way that people make social connections. So this is a way that they can connect with one another in a way that's sort of supported by our staff. And it's growing, I would say, in popularity. We're doing more things, and it's got a good participation, and we're hopeful that they can, the people participating build a community, like that they have social connections and support, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
The last thing I was going to ask is I just, again, wanted to circle back to that first cohort of Prosper Academy. What were your favorite outcomes or things that you saw out of that first cohort?
You go.
Okay. I think that so for me, like when Prosper Academy started, I was in my early to mid 20s. And so kind of also going through this same thing that they were
this is
also
your peer
going
group.
through. Yeah. And I think it's just like over and over and over again, we got to see people break down their own barriers like that existed within them, where it was like, no, I can't do that. And then they did it, and they did it over and over and over and over again. And it was just like, oh yeah, like you have to do something for the first time in order to master it. And so we just got to see people experience that and then master these skills over and over again. And it was awesome. And also like, then it was like, oh, I guess that I also have to do the same thing.
Right. Model that behavior.
I was gonna say
over again.
Yeah, I feel like I was just giving myself that pep talk about something yesterday of like, you just got to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You just gotta.
That's
Yeah.
me every day of my adult life.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have to unlearn all this shame around, like, I think a lot of people are like, well, if I can't do it 100% on my own, it's not worth doing it all. And
I'm not
that's
gonna try.
Yeah, it's not true at all. And so, like, I've implemented so many of the tools that I developed for my students in my own life, and it's like game changer. So that's my favorite takeaway.
My favorite takeaway is the story of a person who, when they came in, they had no work experience. They hadn't held a job. They were living at home. I don't know how old, 20s. But they're now working. They're living on their own. They're riding the bus back and forth to work. And this was someone who had a lot of support to start with, and now they're literally living independently, working, and able to go wherever they want on their own. And that's just a huge transformation. Plus, he's delightful and one of my favorite people on the planet. So I like to think and talk about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like that's an example of, and he was someone who was like super frustrated a lot along the way and was pushing back, and I don't want to. But growth is painful.
Yeah.
Oof.
Is it ever?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite takeaway, is that it literally was life-changing.
Yeah.
Wow. I think this is an incredible program. I can't wait to
too.
see how it evolves from here.
Yeah.
I think, again, the first cohort was incredible, an incredible way to do it. And I think you guys will absolutely adjust and make it still just as impactful as it was.
Yeah, we hope
Before.
so. That's the intent.
And
Yeah.
the fact that you're willing to take that time to continue to evolve it and keep making it better, because you obviously, like you said, had a successful first cohort, and you could just be like, well, that's great, like no change is necessary, but you see where there are still gaps and things that can be filled. So that speaks to you ladies being so wonderful that you're willing
Well,
to
thank you.
keep taking those steps. That's growth right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. All right.
So since you plugged events, this episode will air towards the end of November. Is there anything that anybody should be looking out for towards the end of the year, beginning of next year, that they could come to? What do we got going on?
Okay, so we will have 2 of our final Life Quest events for the year. One will be a
Mixer, a social mixer. So that is a way to learn how to make connections with other people, and in a safe environment that we will be supporting. Go ahead.
And then we will also be doing our life-size game of life, which is that financial survival game. We have a holiday lights tour with Ollie the Trolley.
Oh,
that's going to be super
we
fun.
love Ollie the Trolley.
And then coming up in January, we do have a couple of really fun workshops coming up. One is a 4-week workshop on it's called Mapping the Parts Within Me. And we have a really wonderful partner coming in. Her name is Sam Bunnyfield. And she is a internal family systems therapist. And so she's going to help us all kind of figure out how before you can have relationships with other people, you got to have a relationship with yourself. Stop banging on the table.
Right.
So we've got some cool stuff coming in. So also please reach out to either Marcia or I, and we will always just blast your inbox full.
Definitely. Definitely.
And you said that these events are posted on your social medias.
Yes.
What are those socials so they can find you? What are they? Are they autism?
It's Autism Action Partnership on
everything?
Instagram and
Facebook.
Okay, so
Yep.
Autism Action Partnership on Facebook, on Instagram.
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Those are the places where it is, I think.
It is. But yeah, if for anyone who wants to receive updates about the new things that are coming, because we're kind of building it as we go, we can't really plan it out for the year. And so the newsletter is really where we're letting you know like what's coming next month. So on our website, you can subscribe to the newsletter and you'll be up to date at the first of each month about what's happening the following month.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming and chatting with us. And thank you for making this program. I mean,
Yes.
Well, thanks.
it's incredible. I just, when Brian wrote about it 2 years ago, I thought it was incredible then. I still think it's incredible now. And again, the success of that first cohort really speaks to your work, but then also just that there is a life that can be lived if you want it, you know? And I think sometimes people just have to know that there are resources out there for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we love MCC.
Mhm.
We love MCC so
Definitely.
much.
Definitely.
Awesome.
MCC Made with Emma Frazier, Katherine Riggs, and Tim Clark. Produced by Emma Frazier. Executive produced by Nanette Rodriguez. Production support by Herdat. Got a question for us? Email mccmade@mccneb.edu, and your question may be answered on a future podcast.